I want you to look at a city. It is one of the oldest cities on earth. People have lived there without a single break since before Rome existed. Kings ruled there in the days of Abraham. The Apostle Paul walked its main street. It is called Damascus, the capital of Syria. And there is a verse in your Bible that says one day it will not be there at all. That verse has been waiting for 2,700 years. A prophet wrote that Damascus would stop being a city. He said it would become a ruinous heap. And here is the part I need you to sit with. It has not happened yet. Of all prophecies people argue about, this is one of the few that has never come true. Not once, not even close. Damascus is still standing today, which means the verse is still loaded. And what just happened in Syria moved it onto the table for the first time in our lifetimes. Now follow me south, away from Damascus, down to a narrow river in southern Lebanon, because that river is the real reason I am talking to you today. On May 29th, 2026, Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israeli forces had crossed the Litani River, and they blew the bridges behind the people on the other side. And almost nobody you know noticed. You filed it under foreign news. You filed it under someday. I am here to tell you that someday started 2 weeks ago, and your sense of the timeline is wrong. I'm Dan Reed. For 3 years on this channel, I walked you through Gog and Magog, the Far War. Russia coming down from the north with Iran and Turkey behind it. We counted the signs for that war together, episode after episode. But I have to be honest with you now. While we were all staring at the far horizon, a nearer war started underneath our feet. And scripture said the near one comes first. Today I'm going to show you the war you weren't watching. Here is the mistake almost every prophecy watcher is making right now, and I made it too. We look for the big coalition. We want the dramatic one. Russia, Iran, Turkey, the names from Ezekiel chapter 38, the invasion from the far north that everybody has been teaching for 40 years. And that war is real. I still believe it is coming. Nothing I say today cancels it. But there has always been a problem with Ezekiel 38, and the careful readers have always known it. Look at who is in that coalition. Russia is there. Iran is there. Turkey, Libya, Sudan, distant nations, far nations. And then look at who is missing. Israel's next-door neighbors are not on the list. Lebanon is not there. Syria is not there. Jordan is not there. The Palestinians are not there. Saudi Arabia only shows up to ask a question from the sidelines. Think about how strange that is. The prophet names countries thousands of miles away, and he skips the enemies sitting right on Israel's fence line. Why would God describe the far war in such detail and leave out the near one entirely? There is only one clean answer. The near enemies are not in the far war because the near war comes first. The inner ring fights before the outer ring ever marches. The neighbors are missing from Ezekiel's list because by the time Gog comes down from the north, that closer fight is already settled. So where is the near war written down? It is written in a song, Psalm 83, and almost nobody preaches it as a war because it looks like a prayer. Let me read you how it opens. Keep not silence, O God. Do not hold your peace, and do not be still. For your enemies make a tumult, and those who hate you have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against your people. They have consulted against your hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be remembered no more. Stop on that line. They have taken crafty counsel. With one consent, they are gathered together. That is not a poem about ancient history. That is a war plan. A coalition of nations sitting around a table, agreeing together with one consent to erase the name of one country off the map. And then the psalm names them, one by one. Edom, the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagrites, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, Philistia with the people of Tyre. And every single name on that list is a nation that shares a border with Israel today. This is the inner ring, the near war, the neighbors. And I am telling you, it is not coming. It is here. Now let me show you the staging ground, because this is where 2026 stops being a Bible study and becomes the news on your phone. Start with Syria. For 50 years, one family ran Syria. The Assads, Hafez al-Assad, and then his son Bashar. And in December of 2024, after a war that ground on for more than a decade, that regime collapsed. The Assads fell. Bashar fled to Moscow. And the man who now sits in the presidential palace in Damascus is named Ahmed al-Sharaa. He did not come up through diplomacy. He came up through the war as the leader of an armed faction. Syria today is not a stable country. It is a broken one. It is militias and ruined suburbs and a former insurgent holding the capital with no settled power underneath him. For the first time in our lifetimes, the one city God said he would bring down is sitting in a country with no steady hand on it. I told you to remember a phrase, a ruinous heap. Here is where it comes from. Isaiah chapter 17, verse 1. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. That is the verse. That is the whole verse. And for 2,700 years it has sat there unfulfilled, waiting for a moment that looked exactly like this one. That is the thing about this channel that I will never apologize for. I do not hand you a finished prophecy and tell you to be afraid. I show you a verse that has been waiting, and I show you the conditions lining up around it, and I let you watch them sit next to each other in silence. Damascus is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the history of the world. It has survived every empire that ever rose. And Isaiah said that one day it will not survive at all. He wrote that down before Babylon ever fell, and it is still waiting to come true. Sit with that for a second. Then come back to me, because the river is the part that should move the clock in your chest. So let me put the receipts on the table. Not theories. Dates. Things that have already happened that you can check. Receipt 1. December 2024. The Assad regime in Syria collapses after more than 13 years of civil war. The northern neighbor that menaced Israel for 2 generations is now a broken country run by a former insurgent named Ahmed al-Shara'a. Receipt 2. Damascus today. The city Isaiah said would one day be wiped out is still standing, but for the first time it sits inside a shattered nation with no stable government holding it together. The verse is not fulfilled. Do not let anyone tell you it is. But for 2,700 years it had no runway, and now it has one. It is loaded. Receipt 3. May 29th, 2026. Israeli forces under Benjamin Netanyahu crossed the Litani River, pushing north into southern Lebanon. 2 days later, on May 31st, they take Beaufort Castle, the deepest Israel has pushed into that country in 26 years. Receipt 4. The same operation. The bridges across the Litani are destroyed, cutting off southern Lebanon from the north, sealing the people on the far side away from any help coming down to them. Now lay those 4 receipts on top of Psalm 83 and tell me what you see. The psalm named the near ring, the neighbors. Lebanon to the north, the people of Tyre. Syria as the staging ground. The whole crafty council of bordering nations agreeing together to push against one small country. And in the spring of 2026, the borders of that exact ring are on fire. The river crossing is not a headline about a foreign army. It is the inner ring closing, one nation at a time, in the order a song predicted 3,000 years ago. Here is why this lands on you personally. For 3 years, you and I treated the big war as the clock. We watched the far north. We watched Russia and Iran. We told ourselves we had time, because the famous coalition had not assembled yet. Iran and Turkey are not even allies right now. They are rivals, circling each other over the wreckage of Syria. So we relaxed. We figured the countdown was long. But we were reading the wrong clock. The near war was never going to wait for the far one. The near war goes first. That is the whole point of why the neighbors are missing from Ezekiel. The inner ring is the precursor. It clears the board. And the inner ring is not a future event you can schedule. It is a present event you are living inside. The war you filed under someday has a date on it now, and the date is in the past. May 29th. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am your friend, and friends tell you the truth even when it costs them the comfortable version. The horizon you were watching was the wrong horizon. The clock did not move farther away this spring. It moved closer, much closer. If the precursor war is already burning, then everything that comes after it just stepped up in line. And the thing that comes before all of it, for the believer, is the moment the Lord calls his people home. Let me say plainly what that means, because this is the part I actually care about. If the near war is here, the window is narrower than you were told. Not because anyone can hand you a date. No one can, and anyone who tries is selling you something. But sequence is not the same as a date, and the sequence just shifted under your feet. The war that was supposed to be the warning shot already fired. So here is the comfort. And it is real comfort, not a soft pat on the shoulder. You are not assigned to the near ring. You are not assigned to the far ring. The rings are a clock on the wall, and you are not the one who has to be in the room when it finishes running down. The whole reason I show you the inner ring closing is so you will understand what the closing is for. It is the alarm going off before the time runs out, and the believer is not in the building when it does. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. That is the door. It is open right now while you are hearing my voice. The rings are tightening around one small piece of ground in the Middle East. But the Lord did not write the nations onto that map and forget to write you somewhere safer. He has a place for you that no army on earth can cross a river to reach. The ring is closing, and you go before it shuts. Hold on to that, because next time I'm going to take you to the calmest border on that whole dangerous map, the seam between Israel and Jordan, the line everyone trusts, the one place in the region people still call quiet. And I'm going to show you what Jordan just did with its army, and the three names Psalm 83 already gave that ground long before there was a country called Jordan sitting on it. Edom, Moab, and Ammon. Your last calm border is moving. I will show you next time. That's what I'm seeing. I'm Dan Reed. Stay watching. We're not done.